Hi guys, welcome along to my second video, which is Dynamite Dunes. It's the walkthrough as I play Dynamite Dunes, the second scenario on Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic. I'm going to start off with the game pause, just to take a look around, see what we've got, familiarise myself with the scenario. Built in the middle of the desert, this theme park contains just one roller coaster, but has space for expansion. And the objective is to have at least 650 guests in the park at the end of October year 3 with a park rating of at least 600. Well, the park rating's already at 788 and it's got just the one ride, which is this, it's Dynamite Blaster. So, quick look around, loads and loads of space, some nice flat land over here, some dunes to deal with as well, which maybe we'll want to flatten later in the scenario, maybe we'll build above it, maybe build underneath it. We'll see what rides we get. If I wanted to expand the park, there is a lot of room for that, by the look of it. But to be honest, 650 guests, October year 3, shouldn't need to do that. Forest Frontiers, the first scenario, was 250 guests by the end of year 1. We completed that with no problems. And I imagine this one's going to be the same. Yes, it's more guests, but it's a much longer period of time. It also means we can sink ourselves into building a few rides and having a little bit more fun with this scenario and this park. So, first of all, there is one ride here. It's the Dynamite Blaster. Really good stats. Really, really good stats. It's also quite intense, which tells me the guests here don't mind an intense ride. But it's quite cheap at the minute. £6.91 is the excitement, so I'm going to make the admission price £6.50. Of course, I'm playing in English pounds. You might be playing in dollars or another currency, euros perhaps. 3 trains, 5 cars per train. I could extend that, but I'd have to shut the ride to do so. We do have 37 guests on it at the moment, so I might leave that for now. Of course, I think it's good value. It was only set at £3. So that's the ride we've got. Before I sink myself into building some more rides, let's just check a few of the other things about the ride and the park. So I'm going to leave that all as it is, apart from the maximum waiting time. I'm going to bring in at 30 seconds, just because I don't want to mess with the stats. It is the only ride I've got active at the minute. It's not had an inspection for 55 minutes. That tells me there's no mechanics here. Let's play some music. You'll hear that in a moment. Okay, so oh, we don't need to see the help. Dismiss him. No, you can go. We don't need to see you. So we have got a handyman, we haven't got a mechanic. So I'm going to hire one mechanic for now. And my handyman, he's all the way over here. He's not got lots and lots of path to deal with at the minute. But I'm suspecting as people come off this ride, they're going to be feeling quite nauseous. Actually got 3 people leaving the park at the moment. If I look at the thoughts, how many saying that they feel sick? Yeah, 6 of them. One thing I've just noticed as well is there aren't any park benches or trash cans. So first of all, the loan amount. Oh, I can only go to 15,000. I'm just going to pay that all back now so I don't get hit with a big interest rate. Let's pop that back on pause. Let's look at the rides we've got. I'll deal with the park benches in a moment. So we've got the one transport ride available to us. It is a big park. That could be something for later on. A couple of gentle options, which aren't too bad for now. We can also do a wooden roller coaster as well as the mine train coaster, one of which we already have. Just a twist on the thrill rides. And a log flume. A log flume could be quite good fun to build. Although there is the ride that we placed in Forest Frontiers, which is Splash Mine, which will fit the scenery of this park pretty well and might go really nicely in this area over here. Although that could also be a really cool place to build a roller coaster, as could the back area here where they've got this little dune. So I'll come back to that. So we've got a log flume. We've got a couple of food stands there. Fruity Ices Burger Bar. We've got the drinks stall and the toilets. But not a lot of rides to play with right away. So we want to get that research to the maximum. Let's forget about the transport rides. Not worried about the shops and scenery and theming. I don't have an information desk, so I'm going to keep the shops and stalls active for now. And I think I'll keep all the other sets of rides. We are okay on gentle rides for now, so I'm going to tap those off. We've got 3 of them to play with, so I'll take that off for now. Maybe later in the scenario I'll reactivate the research on gentle rides. So there we go. I'm kind of ready to start building in the park, so I'm going to go back to the park benches that we mentioned, because especially as guests come off this ride where they're feeling sick, there's nowhere for them to sit. Of course, some will wander away. and want to sit elsewhere. And also, as we build more rides, at least I'll have plenty of benches in place for the guests. And then some trash cans as well. We haven't got any food and drink stands at the moment, but we will have. I always like to build the trash cans on the slopes just because you can't really put anything else there anyway. And guests don't stop on the slopes, and you can't connect the slanted paths or steps to any other piece of paving, so it's a good place to pop those trash cans for when we need them later on. Right, mechanic hired for Dynamite Blaster, which looks like, to be fair to it, it's got great stats, but it also looks like a really cool coaster. See the underground view. We've got a few bits that go in and out of the ground. It's sort of built in to this mine area. I mean, if we save the ride design, it'd be kind of quite difficult to use at a later date because the station is one of the higher parts of the ride. There's a lot below the station. But it's a really cool ride, and I think that's going to really help us in this scenario, bring in some guests and bring in some revenue early on. So we've got 15,000 to play with, which isn't a load, but with what we've got at the minute will do us quite well. So we've got one roller coaster, and I'm very keen to get a wooden coaster down as well, potentially in this area to the left of the main park. But before I do that, I'm going to get a couple of rides down at the very front. I'm going to use these spaces in the corner. First of all, let's get a twist. I'm just going to think about where my exit path and entrance are going to be. So if I put it right in the corner, I'm going to lose those palm trees. I'm going to put it one more along so that then, I need to get some money from the bank. Then I can put the entrance this side and bring it around, and the exit can be a straight path there that other guests won't need to use, and it won't be too long for the exit path either. So that can go there, and I'll bring this quite tight to the ride because I don't think it needs to be a really long path, and it just buys me that corner, that little bit of space if I am building things later on. So I could be a little bit tight with this twist design and put it right in the corner like I initially looked at, but I think that's going to do well for me there. So let's get that tested. As always, I drop that maximum waiting down to 60 seconds. Sorry, from 60 to 30. We want to make sure we're getting that inspected very regularly, and we'll get some nice music on there as well. A 1.8 excitement rating, so I'm going to just round that up to £2 for the admission price. And the ride is ready to open, so that's the twist. So we've got a thrill ride and a roller coaster. Let's do the gentle stuff. I might do 2 gentle rides at the front of the park, just so that they're in. We've used that little bit of space, and I don't need to worry about them. Although I am thinking we might want them spaced around the park a little bit, and this is a really nice area for building a ride. If I just use sort of from here, this little square I'm trying to point out with the merry-go-round, so there is my boundary, I've still got a nice big area there for a log flume, for a roller coaster, for some of the bigger rides we're going to encounter in the scenario. So I'm going to pop that relatively close to the entrance. In fact, it can come. One thing I could have done with the twist is have it actually hug the side of the park. But never mind, I'll do that with the merry-go-round. Let's bring the entrance on this side. I've not quite left myself enough room for the short exit path, but if I pop the exit path like this, you'll see in a second. I just need to think about where I'm going to put the... There we go. That's going to work just fine. We'll lose a palm tree there, but it's not a big deal. Let's get the merry-go-round tested, learn to speak properly. And then maximum waiting time down to 30 seconds. 10 minutes on the inspection. We've already got the fairground organ music there, and it's only a 1.12 excitement, but I don't think we need to have any rides priced lower than £1.50, and we'll see what the guests think of that. So I've kept the default colour scheme. Oh, we've already got quite a queue for the twist. Some want to go on something more thrilling, some think it's good value, so let's just do £2.30 there. So we can get 18 guests on the ride. We've got 19 queuing, so we've got enough space in the queue for at least one full load. So everyone's going to wait one turn, then we'll fill it up, and I'm hoping we'll fill the queue again quickly enough so that when this ride finishes, we'll be able to get 18 people on again. The last thing I want is for having rides going around empty, but at the same time people aren't able to join the queue, because that's just meaning we're losing revenue that guests do want to spend with us. So I'll be a little bit cautious with that. So I've got that one gentle ride and one thrill ride. I'm just going to see the reaction I get to the merry-go-round. People saying it's good value. It's £1.50. Let's call it £2, see what happens. No one's on it. 11 are queuing, and it can take 16. What I'm trying to work out is, do I need another gentle ride just yet? I'm thinking I don't need it, but it doesn't hurt to have it. And it could actually sit quite nicely in the corner here. Although you can't see it from anywhere else, but maybe if we had more rides coming in around here. I'm going to leave it for now and build a bigger ride, a bigger coaster. Maybe get my teeth sunk into the wooden roller coaster, the log flume as well, get a couple of those rides in, and then see what the research brings me. We're at the end of the first month, so I should get something in just a moment. Okay, so what am I going to build? I've got the log flume and the wooden coaster. I might do the log flume, and I'm kind of thinking to put the splash mine in because it's going to be reasonably cheap. It comes with some cool scenery. Oh, I get a mini roller coaster to play with in a moment as well. But also, it's quite a nice shape. It's a nice 16 by 10, which would fit really smartly, actually, in there for 6,000. I'm thinking, do I need to reduce that dune? Because we're going to get Splash Mine kind of on stilts, which is going to look a bit weird. I kind of, that does annoy me. This kind of way the scenery is raised up, so I could either raise the land around the area or lower it, or just build it as it is for 6,000. If I got it on a flat piece of land, it's going to cost, so it's about 1,000 difference, which is going to cost, it's going to cost me more than that to lower all of this land. Can't go any bigger. It's going to, but I'm going to do it because aesthetically it's going to look a lot nicer, and it'll make it a little bit easier to see what I'm doing and what other space we've got around the park, but it will just make it look a bit better. So I'll see in a minute how much all this landscaping did actually cost me. Might not actually be as much as I was thinking. Let's see. Landscaping 2,280, and the saving's going to be it was just over 1,000, wasn't it, on the splash mine? The saving that we had 5,600 rather than 6 something. So it's not been that expensive in the long haul. Can't quite get the coaster in there. There we go. We can't get any further back because of the pieces of scenery along here. We're using these back 4 squares, which is annoying. I'm going to lose that whole row of space, but that is a really good fit, I think, for the splash mine. It's the perfect place to put it, I think. Oh, we can go one further back there. That's what I was trying to do. So we can just squeeze that in for 5,590. But I've not got enough money. Let's increase that loan. Make sure I do have enough money. And there we go. And as I did in Forest Frontiers, I'm going to replace that tile there with the on-ride photo section, which I'm going to price at £3.50. Now, I'm going to get this on its test run so we can get the stats in. We really don't need long wait times for this ride. There's so many boats. So as one arrives, another can go. And a maximum waiting time of just 10 seconds should be sufficient for the ride. We need the inspection time to be every 10 minutes. We want some music, of course. And we know the stats for this are pretty good. So I'm going to charge £4.50 for the splash mine. Now it needs connecting to the main path. So let's do that from here. And what that's actually created is a nice little space here where we can build up some thrill rides, some gentle rides, some of those sort of static rides that take the sort of the amount of space that a twist and a merry-go-round takes, and that leaves lots and lots of space in the park for other rides, basically roller coasters, if I do want to do any more water rides as we go down the line. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to need some benches along this new path, and let's drop a trash can on there as well, and one in here. I'm just thinking about my handyman because he's still got the whole area to patrol, although there's not actually that many dirty paths. I do sort of want to think now, before it gets out of hand, about organising my handyman. So, where is he? He's down the front. Let's bring him back here, and he can start. Give him 10 tiles. There's 3, 4, 5, 6. I know what I can do. 7, 8, 9. Just make sure we're covering all of that exit path. Not quite. He can take up that area, and I'll hire a new handyman to take care of the main pathways. I don't really ever need them on cube paths, as I've mentioned before, but I will keep an eye on that just in case. Log flume going around nicely there. Let's just bring everything back into view. It's on its test run, but we can get it open yet. We've not quite got it completed. You can see the first boat was coming around there back towards the station, so we should be complete now on the test run. There we go, an excitement rating of 5, which means I can probably get away with charging £5 for the 5. I could probably do £5.50, but kind of like, you know, when you go to a theme park, the log flume is never the most expensive ride, is it? The coasters are the ones which are the most expensive. Great news from the research team. Information kiosk, so that can come. Let's drop that in near the front of the very front of the park. I might do it on that little corner there, actually. It's before any guests have got to any queue entrances or anything. Get that open. 80p on the park map, £3.50 on my umbrella. And that'll start making money right away, so I'm glad I've got that one in. We don't have anywhere to eat or drink just yet. Although the guests aren't yet asking for it, I'm sure they will be soon. There's 2 people saying they're hungry. 2 people don't want to pay that much for the umbrella either, which is interesting. So I'm just going to drop the price there to £3.20, see what that does. I know there is the umbrella trick where you can basically charge maximum when it starts raining, but this is a desert area, so we've seen a little bit of rain already in March, I think it was, but I'm not sure we're going to see too much during the summer, so charge a fair price there, and we have sold a few already. So again, this area here where I can get the thrill rides and gentle riding in front of Splash Mine can also work for places to eat and drink as well. So I'm going to drop a burger stand in just here between the palm trees, get that open. Let's charge a start £1.80 and see where we go. And of course, once they've bought their burger, they're going to need to sit and eat it. Pop a trash can opposite the entrance or opposite the stand itself. Cool. That's the burger stand open. Nobody's bought from it yet, but people will start going there shortly, especially as they are starting to feel hungry. I'm guessing that's the guests who were here when the park first opened. The park, by the way, I didn't mention at the start, but it's got free admission price. We know that because we are charging for the rides, and in Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic, you don't get the option of doing both. It's one or the other. And in this case, it's the rides, and I always prefer when they pay for the rides because you can see how profitable each ride is, but also they seem to spend more money that way. Because once they're in the park, you know, they're still spending money, whereas if they arrive with £70 and they spend £45 to get in, that £25 is just hanging around in their pocket and they're not ready to leave because they're not out of money. Whereas if they keep going on rides, they keep spending money. I was wondering if we needed another handyman just yet, but no, he's chilling at the minute. He's just walking around, so there's no immediate need for the second handyman there. So the Splash Mine's looking really popular. 72 guests on it, that's pretty cool. So they're really liking that. The high excitement rating definitely helps. And the reason I built Splash Mine rather than my own, as I said, it's a nice shape. It also comes with some cool scenery that fits this park as well. And it gets it in. It means that I've now got 4 rides already in May year 1, and that's going to help bring more guests to the park and keep that park rating high as well. So we'll keep working on that park rating. It only needs to be at 600. The guests need to be at 650. I'm hoping we're not going to have too many problems. We've got a few more rides that we can currently build, the mini roller coaster being one of them. But I think for now I'm going to skip the game along a little bit. Well, I just consider my options, and I think a wooden roller coaster could be a cool thing to get in. Do I do a mini roller coaster? Or do I do a wooden coaster? A wooden one would be a really big one, could come into this kind of space here. There's space around here as well for maybe a smaller roller coaster, like a mini or a junior if we get that later on. I do want to keep this area for the more static rides. It might be also an awkward space and quite small to start building another coaster in. So which one do I go for? You know what? Let's build a nice wooden one. Although the wooden roller coaster is going to have similar stats to the... Let's be honest, I'm going to build both roller coasters, so I don't know why I'm taking too much time over it. But I'm going to build my own. I could consider building a custom, a pre-built one in this area, because I've already got 4 rides in place. And maybe getting it to 5 quicker might not be a bad idea, in fact. Give me more time to play with later on and not worry about the number of guests. But let's see what we've got on the wooden roller coasters. I want one that's quite probably tight in terms of the amount of space it uses. Let's just have a look. That is a pretty steady area it's using. Where's the path come out at? All the way around there. It could kind of... Oh, I've got the pirate ship, which is good. That's going to be useful. Where is the... the path comes out there, so I need to rotate it twice. See if I can just get it to squeeze in here. That is a really nice place for a coaster, and it is a really nice tight design. But it is going to take up a lot of my land for building my own coaster later on, which I do really want to do. But you know what? I want to spend that 15,000. I want to make sure I've maxed out the number of rides I can get in the park before I start playing around, start bringing as much revenue in as we can. So I'm just going to play with my ride stats on Fire Trap. I'm not sure if I'm going to come to regret that part, because I just want to build a roller coaster. I'm now out of cash for a little while. Let's get some music on. We'll test it. I didn't take a proper look at the stats on Fire Trap, which was a bit of a mistake. But we know the custom built, the pre-built rides usually come with pretty good stats. What's worked out nicely here is it's lined up perfectly on my main path. I'm just going to speed the game along a little bit, get the stats in before I build a pirate ship. I'm going to need some money to build a pirate ship now. So 7 on the excitement, 7 on the intensity, 4.4 on the nausea. If I compare that to the Dynamite blaster, it's actually less intense but more exciting and less nauseating. So it's a big tick in that sense. The Dynamite blaster we charge £6.50 for. Fire Trap, I'm going to go for exactly the same. I kind of thinking of £7 actually. It is a brand new ride. We can always bring the value down a little later on. So let's get that open. And if I just hide everything so that I can see where I'm placing scenery, make sure we've got 2 benches for when they come off a bit nauseated, one at the bottom there, trash can at the top and the bottom of those steps, and my handyman. It was Handyman 2 who was patrolling the main path. So I'm just going to have to extend his work area. And I know now that I can't extend his work area anymore. Any more paths are going to need a new handyman. So I've got £1,000 now, and rather than repay that loan, I'm just going to build in the pirate ship. Just cancel it off so I can see what I'm doing, get all the scenery and rides back in view. And it can come in this area down here. So I might actually use this side of the path. Potentially, there's a nice long area there for a station entrance, for a ride station entrance and exit. So I'm going to get the pirate ship in here, and I'm going to get it this side of the burger bar just so that people can see it in operation. And then the exit I can bring around the back of the burger bar or to the side of it, and the entrance can come around the other side. So I'll put them next to each other, get it testing, and bring the exit this side of the burger bar, to the palm tree. And the entrance can come around the back of the ride, which will give me both a pretty good sized entry queue. I'm going to extend it one more because I don't want it getting a bit too congested there. In fact, let's bring it all the way along there. Save one palm tree at least. That's a pretty good size entry, and it means there's still some space behind the ride and to the side to build additional rides if I want to. If I do, I might want to just move the merry-go-round entrance, potentially build the path along build an actual path along that entrance and put the queue entrance a bit more around this area so it snakes a little bit more and gives me some space to put another ride here and a path towards that. But that's future thoughts. Let's get our pirate ship open. I'm just going to pay back 1,000 on the loan. Might save me a little bit of interest this month. 30-second maximum wait time, 10 minutes on the mechanic, get the music on, and we'll charge £2.50 for this ride, rounding up the excitement rating, and it's ready to open. Does my handyman have that bit of exit path covered? He does, so that's good news. And we'll see what the guests think of that ride. I'm pleased with the number of people going on the merry-go-round. I didn't think it would be that many, and they've actually been queuing for too long. So do I reduce the number of rotations? I think I do. I'll see what that does to the stats, see if I can just speed up the ride time slightly. Let's fast forward the game along a little bit. Yeah, it's barely adjusted the stats, and hopefully it fixes that queue time, because at the minute it is a little bit on the long side. I could probably do with shortening the queue itself at some point. But let me just put some queue line TVs in for them. Generally, I don't think they make a big difference, but they do help guests perhaps not be as fed up as quickly, so you can maybe get away with the 8-minute queue time. But I will look at that because it might be a little bit too long, so I might need to rethink that slightly. But my idea of paving the first bit of the queue there along with an actual path and put another ride in sort of this empty gap here, that might work out for reducing the queue time as well. So that's where we're at the minute. We've just been given the suspended swinging coaster. So I've got a couple of roller coasters that I can build to add to the two that I've already got, the wooden coaster and the mine train coaster. Fire trap going down well. Dynamite blaster still popular. Guest thoughts. They're running out of cash. Well, I haven't got an ATM that I can give them, but that's okay, because those guests are going to leave the park and be replaced by new regenerated guests who are going to come and spend money with me. They're really enjoying Splash Mine, so I'm glad I put that in. They got their park maps, so nothing major to report on the guest thoughts. So I'm going to speed the game along a little bit, just get a bit more money in the bank while I consider what rides I'm going to place next, whether that's going to be another coaster, or ideally I might get another sort of thrill ride or gentle ride come along. I just thought, am I researching water rides? I am. Do I want any more water rides? Probably not. I'm quite happy with my log flume. So I'm going to take that off the research in the hope that's going to help me get something else a bit quicker. Let's see what's coming next on the research. Oh, it's there. Oh, it's a chip shop. So that could be good to have another food option. Yeah, so I'm doing okay on new rides there, but I would like a thrill or a gentle ride. But I did get the pirate ship, to be fair, so I can't complain. Just get into fast forward mode as well. I've only got 5,000 more I can spend on that loan, or borrow on that loan, I should say. I kind of don't want to start building a coaster and then end up waiting a little while to get more money come in. So I might just take this almost actually to the end of year one, just to see where we are and see what sort of state the park is in, get a bit of revenue built up. Oh, the paths are getting a bit grim. So the paths are disgusting. Let's see where exactly these people are. I need to slow the game down, because otherwise my guest thoughts are moving around too much. It's on the exit of Fire Trap. So let's see. Do we have an issue there with Handyman 2? Where is he? Is he just got a little bit too much space to patrol? What I'm going to do for now, just to solve the problem, is pop him straight up there so we can clear that path. But I'm thinking I am going to need to hire another handyman. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let him return down that path back to his original work area. Oh, he's gone back on himself. Oh, I've got go-karts. That could be interesting. I might get those down soon. Right, now he's back down there. I'm going to cancel off his work area there and drop a handyman just for this exit path, really. But I will extend his work zone along the main path as I build more rides. So, speaking of more rides, I've just been given the go-karts. And I was saying this area to the right of the main path is a nice little area for a station entrance and exit. And I'm going to use that for the go-karts. And I'm going to build my own go-karts, not the castle karts, so cancel that. Build a custom design this time. And because I want the maximum number of go-karts on my track, I'm going to build the maximum station length. Perfect. I just need to manipulate where the main path goes as well, but I'll keep the entrance and exit on this side. Make sure they don't have too far to walk for their cars. And what I'm going to do is extend this main path. In fact, I'll delete these areas and take the main path just one around the other way. I need that square. I need a bit more space for the queue there because I can't get it, so I'm going to have to... I thought that through really badly. It needs to go 2 blocks out so that with the go-kart queue I can go up one. I might bring it back over the station itself. Oh. And then down. And that should be a long enough queue for the go-karts because, like the merry-go-round, we don't want them queuing for too long and they can't get on it that easily. Because there's only 21 or 24 cars when you start. So I'll find out in a minute when I've actually built the ride. So I've blocked my view of what I'm doing. I'm going to use the dunes. So I'm going to go one straight bit there and then we'll get them turning, which might cause a bit of a hold up at the start because they've not got much speed going, but I'm just going to open up the dunes there by lowering that first bit of land and raising the second bit. Now we can use the inside of the dunes to build this ride without using too much space of the park itself. So I bring it back on itself, and as I do I'm going to just dip it slightly so that I don't have too much work to do in terms of raising the sides of the dunes. It should fit nicely through now. So a little turn, and then if we bring it back on itself we can start to climb. Let's give them a couple of track pieces just to build up some speed for that hill. Same again, top of the hill we can have a little turn back on itself, a tight, if that will go. Yeah, we're only at -1 on that piece of track as well. So a tight turn and then up and over itself. And now I am going to have to mess with the size of the dunes, but that's not the worst thing because if I can get it... Oh, I've lost my touch there. I'm playing on the iPad, so I'm using my fingers and it's sometimes a little bit fiddly. I end up touching areas I don't want to touch. So that piece of land there that's been raised, I need to lower the one next to it. Now I can go back to the carts and continue construction. There we go. And I need to lower that piece of track as well. Sorry, that piece of land back on that track. There we go. That's going to bring it out of the dunes, and so that's going to help with the excitement rating. I've put it straight into a turn after the hill, but actually it'll cost me a little bit more because it's a bit taller. The structure needs to be a bit higher. I was hoping to get it go over the station there, but it needs to be one piece higher again. My footpath's already going over the station. That was poor for me. I only just did that a moment ago. I'd already forgotten about that. So let's get it to come around the station here a little bit. And then let's bring it back in on itself and back into those dunes. In fact, it can dip into the dunes because then I can lower that piece, raise that piece, and there they go into the dunes. A little bend there, although they will lose their speed as they do that. I'll have to turn it there so I don't go into the track that already exists. And while it's all inside, I also don't need to put too much scenery around this ride either. I'm going to need to borrow some more money to complete the track. I want it to be long enough that it's exciting, but not so long that it takes forever to complete the circuit and guests are queuing too long while they're waiting for those who are already on it to finish their ride. So I'm already thinking about bringing it back towards the exit, but I want to keep it in this bit of area I've used already because I will probably be using the inside of the dunes later on for some more rides. Down at the bottom, that's too much of a dip. One little dip there into a turn rather than a straight piece, just so I don't need to worry about changing the land. Drop it after the turn so they can get their speed up again. So I'm just looking at the bits of track I've got already. It's pretty solid to be honest. I might give them a nice long stretch here to pick up some speed before we think about turning back towards the station. One more piece. Raise that bit of land. See, whenever I click, because I have the construction open and the adjust land, it's sort of clicking both pieces. There we go. Oh, I do need to still raise it, of course. We're at -2, we need to be at -1. Up a hill, into the turn. That's going to test them if it's a close finish. And there we go. That's that bit of go-kart constructive. And if I take away the view and let you see underground, because it's not the longest go-karts. There's no scenery around it. It looks pretty plain like that, but it's up and down. It comes in and out of the dunes as well. I think that's going to be pretty popular. I think we're going to get some good excitement ratings on that. So I'm going to open the ride. We just want one lap, otherwise they really will be on it forever. One problem you have with the go-karts, you can't test them. You have to wait for 21 guests to get on the ride and go around the ride. So I'm just going to wait for them to come on, and I'll keep the price low just to attract those first few guests, pay back some loan. Let's see how many are on board at the moment. We need it to be at 14. They're going to get bored in a minute and think that they've been on it too long, so we do need some more people to join the ride. We're up to 18, 19, 20, 21. There we go. And now the queue is building, and as they come back around, the winner gets to go around again. We'll see him join the back of the ride in a second. Oh, he must have already come back in and I didn't notice. Oh, balloon stalls available. Right, ride stats. 4.75 excitement, low intensity, very low nausea. I'm quite happy with that. So let's charge £5 for the go-karts and see how we get on with that. Pay back some more loan. So I've nearly paid back my entire loan. Yeah, I've blocked Handyman. I just realised there I've blocked Handyman 2's walking path, so he wasn't doing this little area. So just drop him back in there, fix that problem. So we're getting to the end of year 1 now. We're into towards the end of October. The balloon stand was just made available. No reason to wait. I might as well get that purchased so that people can start buying balloons, and I'm going to drop that in this little area here, where I'm also thinking I'll put a drink stand in a moment. Let's keep that price the same across the park, because surely by now guests are starting to get thirsty and they do need to go to the toilet. So I'm going to build both of those facilities in this area, save using up any more land. Plus, if they've just bought a drink, sat down and had it, they're going to need to use the toilet pretty soon. I would charge 10 pence for the toilets. Some people disagree with that and think toilets should always be 3, but to be honest, it's £50 a month. Running costs, that 10p will just cover that. That's all that is. And I can get away with doing it as well. So I've already got some benches around here because of the burger stand. I'm just going to drop a couple more in. I don't want to stop the guests from being able to watch the go-karts though, because that does build their excitement. So I won't have too many more benches. I will get another trash can in there as well, or litter bin. Good. The queue for go-karts isn't getting too long, so that's probably a good sign. So we've got the toilet open, we've got the drink stand open, the burger bar is open. It's not that popular just yet, but as we get more guests and they're spending longer in the park, they're going to be hungry. So just as the year comes to an end, or actually we're into March now, the main problem is that they're running out of cash, and they're feeling sick, but they're running out of cash, and that's making them want to go home. But that's okay, because as we mentioned, as they leave, they'll be replaced by... So off they go with nothing left in his pocket, just 90 pence. All he could afford to do is get another park map. But they're being replaced by guests with pockets full of money, £70 there, 40 there. So actually now we know that 40 is the minimum and 70 is the most that people will get, because there's always only ever 10 increments on the money, and there's £30 between them. So if you find somebody at 40 and somebody at 70, you know the other two increments are 50 and 60. Which some people find useful for sort of pricing, especially park entry fees. If it's a park where you charge admission price, you know you can't afford to raise it higher than £40 in this instance because some guests only turn up with £40. But of course not an issue in this scenario. Pirate Ship is not very popular, although there are 16 people on it. They generally want something a little bit more thrilling. So we're into year 2. We need to get ourselves, if we remind ourselves of the goal, the 650 guests by the end of year 3. So we're well on track with that. The number of guests in park has risen quite nicely when we built those rides at the start of the scenario. It stagnated a bit through the summer of year 1, but then with the new go-karts, we've raised up a little bit at the start of this year. I don't think there's any issues really with we're getting to 650. It's only another 150 guests in the next 2 years. So I think in this year I can have some fun with maybe building a couple of roller coasters, filling up bits of the park with thrill rides, just getting that general ride count up while also keeping a general eye on the guest thoughts and a bit of general park management. So I'm going to see maybe what we get in the next research in a couple of weeks' time, and then think about what ride I'm going to build next. So already I'm starting to think I'm probably regretting putting Splash Mine there and thinking that maybe I should have built a custom log flume in and out of these dunes, leaving this space for maybe building the mini roller coaster, which I think is what I'm going to target for myself now. I've still got 13,000 of loan available to me. I'm making a reasonable profit each month, especially considering that most of these months have some sort of construction cost attached to them, and the number of guests in the park is only going up at the moment. So let's see what we've got. I don't need the train. It's not a ride that's going to get a great number of customers, a great excitement, and the park isn't that big. I have quite straightforward path system at the moment as well. I've only got the one gentle ride, and honestly, the popularity of the merry-go-round, even though guests say they want to go on something more thrilling, it is proving quite popular. It's making me want to build the Helter-Skelter, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to create this sort of gentle area at the back of the park. And to do that, I'm just going to basically disrupt the queue path here for merry-go-round, which is going to make me think about removing that piece of path there to get the exit in the right place for the merry-go-round. So there we go. I have a much shorter queue for merry-go-round now, so that long queue problem is going to be solved, and we're going to give guests the option of riding the Helter-Skelter instead, which only needs a really short queue because you can only get 4 people on this at a time, I believe. So let's pop that queue there. Maximum guests, 5 people is the maximum on the spiral slide. Let's get some music, make sure the mechanic is inspecting it regularly enough. I'm just going to employ a second mechanic now because our ride count has jumped up a little bit. And £1.50 seems like the right price. Now, I don't imagine too many guests are going to go on this ride, but look at the queue for it already. So that's quite interesting. And I've just been given the stand-up coaster. So I've got some options now. I've got the junior coaster. I missed that coming through on the research. So I've got the junior coaster. I've got the mini coaster. The mine train I've already got one of. The suspended swinging coaster, the stand-up coaster is brand new, and of course we already have the wooden coaster down here as well. So I think what I'm going to try and build is the mini roller coaster, because I've not built one of these yet since restarting the game. These are kinds of the designs already available to us, but I want to build a custom design. I'm going to do it down in this area, just near where we've got the mine train ride already, leaving space to come along the back of the park here to this area if we need it later on. Although I'm really confident on this scenario right now. We only need another 250 guests and we still have the best part of 2 years to get them. I didn't really need to pay that bit of loan back, so I'm about to start spending the money. So I'm just thinking about if I want to use this space here for the station and then bring the ride around here. The question then is going to be, have I got space for entrances, exits, and to bring the track back around? So I do, but I think what I might do is actually kind of build this ride in reverse slightly, which is a bit tricky to do, and it's going to tell me that I actually can't because I don't have the land there to do it. I'm not sure. No, I can't purchase the land there either. I can only purchase the land in this little section. So already I know that that's not an area where I can place my ride. So that's alright. I still want the station to be pretty close to this area. But what I can do is build it along here. And then we can come out that way. What I might do is actually elevate it. Let's elevate it 3 places. And then as guests come out of the station, we can hit straight in. That's again going to be too tight to turn, so I need one more piece of station track. And then we can bring it down slightly. A small helix down isn't going to be a problem because we're not going to be going too fast just yet. So we can bring it down and back underneath the station. We don't have any on-ride photo sections. There's not a lot of special pieces of track for the mini roller coaster, so you really need to use your twists and turns, the helixes, and the uphill or downhill turns like this. But for now, I'm just going to go underneath the station, come around that way, and then we can start our chain lift hill, because I'm going to want to get some height on the roller coaster. And I'm going to be using the dunes to the right of the roller coaster right now, and I just want to check on where my go-karts were from earlier, but because I kept them to quite a tight area here, it means I've got plenty of space for the mini roller coaster. I'm just going to pause the building on that briefly to check in on my go-karts, because okay, we've got a 6-minute queue. It's not too bad. I'm quite content with that. So we go down to -1 on the height. We're currently at 7, so that's a height of 8 to drop down to, but we can and we will also go underground, and that's how I'm going to start the ride. I'm going to drop it back down, and straight away a nice big turning track section, and we'll turn it into the dunes, which means I'm going to have to manipulate the height a little bit. I don't want to mass bring it all down because I want it to kind of fit into the natural landscape, but you can't build sort of part above and part below land, which means it has to all hit the same minimum. I wonder if I need to do that corner there. So I am actually going to have to just bring down all of it. There we go, one more piece of track there, brings it down. I could then re-raise some of the bits of land around it, but I won't. I'm going to leave that gap into the dunes. And there we go, we're at the minimum height level of the park itself, but because we're now underground, we can dip a little bit lower if we want. We will, but not right now. In fact, let's do it down with a helix, because what I don't want to do is keep having to adjust the size of the dunes. I want to leave the dunes intact apart from what I've already taken out. So a helix back down around that way, so we've got a good bit of depth there. And then we'll come back around without raising or lowering. We can't there because the coaster itself is in the way. So we'll have to come down again in a helix and then get a bit more money. So I borrow some more money there, and then let's bend it back up in a helix, and now we're in the depth of in the middle bit of the dune, so we've got a bit of height to play with. So as we come out of that helix, I'm going to bring it round in a bend, keeping the track all fairly close to each other. We don't want it running too far away from the station. And then we can stop that at +2, and I'm just conscious of where the rest of the track is right now. If I just hide the underground view, I'm struggling to see exactly where I'm building. Okay, that gives me an idea of where I am. So back on the underground view, I'm just thinking how I can weave it around the track that we currently have, albeit underground pieces of track. And that might just be a bit of a gentle drop there. I need to we might have to do a steeper drop just to, again, not have to adjust the land too much. Where are we now? We're in the way of the mini coaster, so I can't do that either. So I'm going to have to get to the top there and come down right away. Now that's going to work out all right. And we are going to have to raise the land slightly in a moment. I'm going to keep that flat while I do it. So the piece we want to lower, is here. We can actually just raise that piece of land, should be enough. Now we know -1 is the actual land flattest part of the park. So we're at 0 now. We can build that there, but if I actually bring it up one piece, one more flat piece, up one piece, I can lower this piece of land, and there we go, and we get a nice escape there for the track from inside the dunes, and we can wrap it back around itself. Now I do need to be careful of bringing it back in towards the station, but that's going to work, so that's going to come the other side of the track we've already got. I wonder if I can do that with a helix up. I can. I think that's going to work quite nicely, and what I want to do is bring it just back around up and over the track it's currently got there. So I'm a bit conscious of the speed we're going to be going at this point, so it might be better to do that as a helix down and then lower this bit of land here. Now is that, yeah, the track itself is in the way, which is a little bit annoying. What I'm trying to think is what else can this ride do? We've got helixes, we've got twisting, we've sort of got downhill and uphill turns, but I also want to bring it back around towards the station now. So let's do one more piece of track, then bend it around like this, which is, it's annoying with the, I didn't want to have to landscape this amount of land, but the gameplay hasn't really given me much choice. Right, there we go, we're alongside that bit of track, so that should help our excitement. We're fairly low, we're probably travelling at a good speed now, so we can come up. No, we can't because we've got the coaster there. We do one more flat piece of track, two more flat pieces of track, and then we can come up. +2 is the height of our station, so let's bring that in at +2. A wide turn there, and where are we going to be coming out of the dunes? That's a lot. I should have raised the land there and not lowered it because I've spent more money than I needed to. And I'm going to have to do the same here, and this time a lowering of the land will do the job. Let's come out of the view I was in. Now I'm going to hit the chain lift here, which is no good. What I probably need to do is change that. This is annoying me now. I've not planned this particularly well, have I? So as we come out of the climb, we can twist, we can do a helix up, and that should bring us in a nice position. Straighten the track, twist it the other way, and come down towards the station. Is either going to be too wide or too narrow, so we'll do one wide turn and one smaller turn. Hopefully that doesn't affect the guests' comfort too much. We are at +3, so we shouldn't be going too quickly there. And then we can come down there to +2. And to be honest, at that point I can probably extend the station to get a few more track pieces, car pieces on my train. I can't say I massively like this coaster, but it twists and turns. It goes inside the dunes and back out again. I'm going to give it a test and see what we get on this. Let's do the exit this side so we get a little bit more excitement as the path goes around that bit of track there, the exit path. One thing I mentioned earlier was potentially using park around this side. I shouldn't need to, but I don't want to limit myself, so I'm just going to pop this path in now to make sure that I don't deny myself where I want to be. So that then needs to be flat, that can come down there. So I'm not doing a good job of this at all. Let's extend that path again. Good point. This is going to need to come higher. So if we do have a path there, it's actually going to have to be higher, which means we could do that with the exit path. And I'll do the entry path while we're testing the ride. We've got 7 cars. They're toboggan cars. We can also have the rocket or the automobile. Now, if we do the toboggan, we add 3% to the excitement and 1 to the intensity. So I'm going to go with a toboggan. Doesn't really fit the theme of the park, but I'm going to go with it. We only want 1 car at a station at a time. 7 cars, 4 passengers per car, 28 guests on the ride at once. I could put another piece of station track in, but I'll leave that as actual track. I'm going to give this a test and see what results we get. So let's follow car 1 around, make sure we don't have any crashes or anything. So quickly into a dip, a helix down, and then back up around and underneath the station, then into the chain, the lift hill chain. And then when we get to the top of that, we're straight down around some bends. We've got a really good speed up there, up a little bit, round. Now, is it going to make that hill? Just makes it. I might need to look at that, because I'm not sure it's going to make the remaining climbs, because we really lose our speed there. So I might just need to have another little look at that. Yeah, it's going to come back there. Let's quickly stop the test, close the ride so we don't have any crash before we've even started. So I need more speed. So do I go higher, or do we not come up as high here? But we kind of need to get around the track. So let's go back into the edit. I should have seen this coming. I was a bit too ambitious there. So what I'm going to do is remove these pieces of track, go higher. It's going to make it quite quick, is my only concern. Around this way, if we straighten up there, I'm going to have to lose that piece of track and come up a bit steeper. Still the wrong size, isn't it? So forget that steep drop there. I want to keep that at more of a narrow drop. Now it's going to have to be steep. No, it doesn't have to be steep, does it? Yeah, it does. So the steeper drop, and it's at +3, +4 there. So let's take it to 12. Also buys us an extra piece of track length, and that then should enable us to do that, which gives us an extra drop, but also a lot of extra speed, which I'm a little bit concerned about for the intensity, but we'll see what we get. As we just follow car 1 around. We've got a top spin available to us now. We did get candy floss last time. We're getting a few breakdowns, especially on Splash Mine, so I'm just going to check the settings on that, and do we have enough mechanics? I'm going to get another mechanic just to be safe. As we come back round to car 1, let's see, now it easily gets over the bend that time. Does it get back around and over the next little incline? Just, but that's a helix up, so still not quite. And look, they're all bumping into each other there. I'm going to close it off before we get a crash. So this is a helix up. I'm simply going to have to make it a helix down and just redo the end of the ride. It's going to be annoying because of my land situation. But I have plenty of time to play around because we're still only into May of year 2. So I don't think I'm going to get away with it by just lowering that. No, I'm not. So it's a great video of how not to build a ride, but you do have to play around, experiment a little bit, see what you can do. I'm going to run into that bit of track now. This is really annoying me. I designed it so badly. I've just gone straight into the build. But as we've gone down, we should be able to go up, and I'm just going to put the chain lift hill in just in case, just to make sure the cars get up there. And actually, I'm going to take it a bit higher so that then we can come down at a good speed, although we can't do it with a helix. So I'm going to drop that gently down to 3, plus 3, a wide turn and a narrow turn. Drop back down to, in fact, let's drop down to plus 1 and 0. A little bit of straight track there, and then back up and into the station. And I will get the extra car in after all. Right, pay back a bit of loan while we test this. Surely this is going to work now, although I'm a little bit worried about my intensity rating. So I'm going to skip the ride along slightly, or skip the game along, because it's the end of the track I'm worried about. So here comes car 1, no problems getting over that bump. Coming around this hill okay, and at a reasonable speed. This is where we lose the speed, but then we're straight back into a downhill bit. I don't like how much speed we lose there, but it makes it. And I'll just keep an eye on that when we have actual guests on the ride. In fact, I'll be certain of it by putting a chain lift hill in there. So let's see what the stats are before I do any more editing. Not too bad. I'm happy with that. It's a bit more intense than I wanted it to be because of that speed, but we've got a good excitement. A bit too much on the nausea rating, but we can handle that. And just to be safe from any future crashes, as the ride comes back around into its conclusion, somewhere around, back a bit more. Here, I just want to do the chain lift hill just to be sure that it makes it. Just to give it that little bit of extra help. Right, repay a little bit more loan, build the queue, and forget about the design process and just be grateful I've got a nice little coaster in there. We'll have a bit of excitement with this queue path coming around the track itself. Bring it back under the station. Demolish, there we go. Although the track is now in the way, so maybe doing that with the queue path wasn't the best idea. I was just saying about forgetting the design process when we start again, but I've kind of messed up still with the queue, so sorry queue, but you're going to have to go the other way. Not a big drama. Just bring the queue around and to under the station there, and that should do us. Right, no test results yet, but we have got the music playing, we have got the settings how we want them to be, a maximum wait time as well. So we know we've got a medium nausea rating on this ride, so we'll get some benches in. I'm going to have to extend the handyman's working area as well to make sure that we do cover this bit of path, and it's going to be, if I remember rightly, Handyman 1 was covering this area of the park. He was. There we go. A bit more work for you to do, I'm afraid, sir. But the path's looking pretty clean around there anyway. Mechanics, we didn't need 3 because now they're all doing nothing, although there's a radio call coming for Mechanic 1 there. I'll keep it in place like that. Right, Rollercoaster 1, 5.5 excitement, so a £5.50 price for Mini Rollercoaster 1. And we're done. It's there. We've used a bit of dunes. It kind of eliminates the dunes on this side with the mini roller coaster, on this side with the go-karts, but we can build on the dunes if we wish. I'll pop that balloon, I'm sorry. Before I build another ride, let's just see what the guests are thinking. Good, nothing major for me to worry about there. Things that are out of my hands, although Disgusting Path isn't too good, but that seems like it's been sorted out. I'm going to quickly hide everything and take a look at that. Yeah, I think we're okay there. Right. I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite happy with where my park's at the moment. I have got a top spin, which always gives high nausea ratings as well, so I might just leave that one for now. We could look at building a car ride, but their excitement ratings are hard to get high. It requires a lot of scenery. It could mean I could build an interesting ride, but interesting, I don't actually have sort of any of this mine theming that's available on some of my rides in my actual inventory, so I'm not going to be able to do that. I've got a corkscrew roller coaster available now, but I'm quite happy with the roller coasters in my park. and what I've got as options to build if I want to build more roller coasters. So I'm going to stop researching that and also stop researching the stalls and just get some more thrill rides in there so that we can just build in a bit of this space at the front of the park. So there we are, I've paid back my loan, and so everything I'm making now is pure revenue. It's June year 2, and I'm on 536 guests, so getting to 650 isn't going to be a big problem. I can do marketing campaigns if I want, and there's still lots of time and lots of room to build new rides. So I think that's kind of going to be my next step, is to just get a couple more stationary rides in there. We've got 1, 2, 3 roller coasters, a log flume, the go-karts, a couple of thrill rides and a couple of gentle rides. So I'd like to get a few more of those in there, and the swinging inverted ship is perfect. And I'm going to put that this side, so its back is to the pathway. I mean, I can put the entrance and exit there, give it a quick test, and then bring... I've put this in the wrong place. I'm not doing very well with my ride placement, am I, today? I'm going to put it in this corner. So guests aren't really going to be able to see it particularly well from any of the paving, although I might complete the loop of pavement that I've currently got. So let's get that on test, and where I've got the exit for pirate ship, I'm going to remove that, build the exit path to there, back around the other side of the burger bar, bring that up so we're connecting the paths. I want to connect it that way. Oops, there we go, that's what I wanted to do. And then that gives me quite a short queue area for the swinging inverted ship, but it will be enough, I suspect. Especially given the pirate ship queue being quite small, really. I can really reduce that if I want to. But we'll get the swinging inverted ship open. Maximum wait time of 30 seconds on that one. We've got the ride inspection every 10 minutes as well. We've got the music playing. The excitement is lower than the intensity and the nausea, which I never think is a good thing, but we'll see how the guests react to the ride. £3.10 I'm going to place for that ride, so a little bit cheaper than maybe it could be. Sorry, £3, not £3.10. But we'll see how it gets on. Let's check in on my stalls, see what the guests think. Not many people buying a drink just yet. Still not getting thirsty, but they are hungry for the burgers, and plenty of people have visited the toilet. So I think what I can probably do, I'm always now waiting to pass the time. We're going to hit the 650 guests, no problem. The park rating of 600, well, it's staying well above 900, so no problems there. Number of guests has risen a little bit since I put the new rides in. Going to see what the guests think of my mini coaster. Oh, look, they like it, thank you. Favourite ride of 70 guests as well. Not too many queuing, but that's okay. If you want to get your guests up and you want to get more guests quickly, of course you can do the advertising campaigns. I really don't see the need. So all I'm contemplating now isn't really strategy for the park. I feel like I've kind of nailed that. Now it's just about volume of rides and potentially doing some advertising if I want to. So my options now are, do I do another log flume? Do I do another go-kart? Do I do another roller coaster of some description? So let's look at my ride performance so far. Fire Trap is the guest favourite mini roller coaster one. Is getting up there. Splash Mine and go-kart's only in the middle, so maybe I don't want to do another one of those. So why don't we go for a bit of an epic corkscrew coaster and basically use the rest of this land on a really long, exciting coaster, because we can fill the other gaps and some of the dunes maybe with a couple of thrill rides as we get towards the end of the park. But I think one more big ticket coaster is going to do the job for us. So do I build the the stand-up or the corkscrew? I think I'm going to go for the corkscrew. And a custom design now, because it's going to be a long ride, I want a long station to make sure we've got some good cars on that. So let's build the station. What's the best way to do the station? Which way to point? Do I point it this way? I think I do. I think if I point it this way, I need to be conscious of concluding the ride and where the existing pathways and things are. I can always bring it from underground if I want to. Or I can always start overground, which I think I might. It'll cost me a little bit more per piece and on the paths later, but at least it'll start me with a little bit of height and give me some sort of space to play underneath the coaster if I need it later on for concluding the ride. I'm going to build the maximum station length to get the maximum number of cars, which means the queue and the exit will have a little bit of work to do to come back to this main path here, but that's okay. Plenty of money to play with because I'm still making money. I've got 7,000 in the bank, plus I can loan another 15,000, so no worries about that. I've already got a bit of height, but I'm going to get maximum height straight away, and I'm going to take this to the edge of the park. Tight corner there, and we're at plus 14. We know the base of the park goes to -1, so we've effectively got 15 height before we go underground, so I can begin the drop now, and I'm going to do one sort of mini but steep drop here, and just to sort of go towards the edge of the park. Let's get the on-ride photo section in before I forget about it, and then we can sort of twist around with a very wide turn, drop it down again straight into a turn, so we get some nice speed, flatten it out in line with the actual land. And let's go the other way. I want to avoid messing around with the land too much, and that does drop us down to +2, so nice corkscrew there to start off with. Let's look at all my, I've got so much space and I want to bring it around the back of the mine train coaster, so it's going to be a really long ride this, and it might actually cost me a lot of money, but why not? Let's have some fun, let's experiment a little bit, and let's just play around with the ride. You can see by the way the guest number is creeping up towards that target. So I've got a corkscrew in already. I can also get the vertical loops and the half loops, which I think I absolutely will do. So as we come out of the corkscrew, let's just pass underneath the existing track and go into the dunes. So it looks like a long flat stretch, and frankly it is, but they'll be going at quite a good speed at this point, and it just allows everyone to reset after that first corkscrew and get ready for the next big drop, which as we come into the dunes, I'm just going to go into a short drop and a helix down again, and what I want to do is bring that now up to let's bring it up to +1 so that I can drop it. Okay, brought it up a bit too high. Drop it here down to -1. That little bump's going to add to the nausea rating, so I'm going to do a really long bit of flat track here, which isn't the most exciting piece, but it's hopefully going at speed. Or can I actually do? Yeah, let's do an indoor corkscrew just to give it a bit more of a twist and a turn, something a bit more exciting. Bring it back up to in fact higher than -1. We can bring it back up, there we go, to 0. Lower a bit of land, and we're going to be coming out the other side now and into this area that I want to use for a bit more of the track. So as we come out, let's twist it this way and then back around the other way. Do a bigger turn there, down to the floor. Now let's do a half loop, wrong way, to the right, away from that dune. And one of the things I'm interested to do now is a half loop. So where am I going to build that into the ride? I could build it straight out of the vertical loop, but what I'm actually going to have the ride do is just bend around, come up slightly into that half loop at +8. I should have the speed for that, shouldn't be too much of a problem, and come out of it with, I probably need a corkscrew to the right, although it's not the most natural bend. That's going to twist the guests around. I'm not too sure about that, but we'll see. and then back around that half loop, and actually let's bring it all the way around the track itself, and then we can come back down at a nice speed and a big steep drop there. Let's do that as a helix, which just means lowering a little bit of land there. Oh, I can't do it as a helix, so I'll be hitting the track itself. So one more big turn. Have to lower the land to do that. Expensive, these turns, and I've left a lot of space there, but I can always fill out with scenery if I want to. And now I'm going to bring the track back up so it can keep running. Bring it back up now. Can I bring it inside of itself? I might be on this bit of the wrong side to do that. I am. So let's bring it up a little bit. A little bit more, in fact, because I want to make sure that as we come over the dune, I can get over that bit of track we already have there. And what I'm going to do now is just send it back over the dune, almost in line with the land itself, although that's a little bit dull, isn't it? It's done. It's big, sort of terrifying loopy loop bit here. So let's bring it back over the loop with a bit of a chain lift hill, just to make sure it makes it. Get some real good height on the ride now. Need more money. And it can come back inside and outside of its original climb. Don't want to twist it that way, I don't. I think that's a bit too much. Keep it straight. What I want to do is bring it I might bring it underground and get it to come back up right at the very end of the ride, which means I don't want to turn it just yet. So let's keep it lying some sort of flat around here, then we can bring it down. In fact, let's bring it down in the bend, in the turn, and then here we can drop straight underground. Raise that piece of track, there we go, now we're underground. And what I'm going to try and do is just bring it back up and over ground, so we're one piece of track, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think we're 6 pieces away from the exit, so sorry, from the end of the station. I'm kind of muttering to myself a little bit there. Oh, I need to keep going lower. Let's go really low, but not too steeply. Then we can bring it back up to... I've got that ride in the way of what I'm doing now. So -1 is the land, so we need to bring it up to -3, which is where I was at. And it can carry on, to be honest, just as a flat piece of ride. What I need to do is now start the turn as we hit the path that already exists. Bring it back around, and I'm pretty sure I've got this in the right position. I do, which is great, which means I can now get it to come up. I needed it to come up a little bit steeper and into the station. There we go. That took a little bit of finishing off. Let's get the entrance and the exit in, and I'll start building that once I've tested the ride. Full load, leave on another train of rides. We don't need a minimum time, but I do want a maximum time. Now let's hope I've designed this a little bit better than I designed that mini roller coaster. Let's get the music and the 10-minute inspection. And now let's follow. I've only got 2 trains now. I might just alter that to get a 3rd train by having... Yeah, that's going to get me more passengers on the ride. So we should have a reasonable length on this ride. Most of its activity takes place back here. Sort of the twists and turns, the half loop, the vertical loop and the corkscrews, but there is some action at the start of the ride as well, and a couple of long pieces of track just for the guests to enjoy their speed. Now I'm not able to actually see train 1, which is a little bit annoying, but I can follow it this way and I'll track its stats there. It does just make it over at 15 miles an hour, so that's okay for now, but it's not making it on that one, so quickly close and hit construction before we have a crash. We need more speed, and I can't get any higher. Yes, I can, because I've got 2 more grids there, so I can turn the corner, go up 1, so it's only up to 15. I haven't got more corner there. Oh, I didn't need to do that. I should not have deleted that bit of track. There was me thinking I'd done a better job of this one in the mini roller coaster. Right. That was the on-ride photo section. In fact, I think we went all the way to the bottom, didn't we? Can I do it? Can I get to 15 and then do a steeper drop? I think I can. That's going to be too tight. Oh, can I buy a bit of land there? You know what? For the sake of one piece of land, that's going to be worth the purchase. Make sure if I buy both of those now I can do what I wanted to do. Oh, I've lost the window there. There we go. So, on-ride photo section. Need to bend that one earlier. Got a bit more land to lower. I've lowered a lot more land than I ever wanted to in this scenario. I'm going to have a bit more to do yet. Lower, 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 lower. Yeah, playing it on the iPad with just your fingers is a little bit fiddlier than the PC version when you have the benefit of a mouse. But there we go. Now I'm hoping that's going to get us enough speed up to get over those turns, but I might need to look at that. And it'll be really annoying if I have to sort of restart the whole build. But I was ambitious, and I can always simply remove that half loop and potentially put it in somewhere else on the ride if I want to. So I've got options. I don't need to. It's not a disaster. So good speed around those first corkscrews. On the underground one, still getting a very good speed. We come up there and lose a bit of speed. Down around the vertical loop, which we just make it over. So yeah, we're not going to make it over this. So it's here that I'm not making it over. So let's see what I can do about that. So we're going to come down there. So let's get rid of this bit of track, knowing that I'm not going to make it over. And what we can do is actually drop it into the ground and bring it up, back up in a half loop. So again, I'm adjusting more land than I ever intended to. Pay back some loan because I can. Still got plenty of time to spare, so I'm not too worried about that. And it's been a good sort of test of building, although I did just lower far too much land there. So that's going to go down. And what I want to do is a bit like the mine train coaster that came, Dynamite Dunes that came, sorry, Dynamite Blast, the ride that came with the park. I want to sort of dig it into the ground a little bit. But as minimal as possible. So we come out of the helix down and I want to drop it right away. But I'm going to lower the land rather than go underground. Flatten it there. I think I'm lowering this far enough. I really hope I am. In fact, let's make sure I am. Half loop. There we go, I was. Now we will have enough height to get around that loop. And I might just... I'm just thinking of how I get back around to the existing track. Let's delete some of that. I'm trying to get over to there basically, aren't I? Can we come back through the loop there? Oh, we can. That's always nice when you can do that. So I need to be at +3. So here I can just bring the track back around, remembering it's symmetrical. I may have gone a bit wrong there. Let's get my dimensions right. So let's bring it up. There we go. Now I'm a little bit further out from where I want it to be, which is a bit annoying, but I can rebuild that bit of track as well. So I probably wasted a bit of money in doing this, but I've got money to play with. I've got time to play with. So we're bringing it to within one piece of land from the edge of the park. So I need to start bringing it. There we go. I can't remember what height I actually had that going to. Right, so let's get that raised up there. And we know we're going a lot higher than 10. And I kept it on a fairly... Yeah, I think it'll be too much space here. So let's get it up to 14. Down, we know it needs to go to 11. And then we can reconnect the ride there with two sort of gentle dips. It's a bit... I'm not completely satisfied with the end of that ride, to be honest. And it's going to be coming pretty quick into the station. What I do like is this little bit around here. It's not as cool as it was. We're going really quick now. No problems with that corkscrew. Out of the dunes, under the track. Vertical loop. Yep, you've got it in you just. And then back around that half loop. There we go. That's what we want. And back around and up the lift. I'm just going to watch it come back around. It's not going to be having any problems at all getting back into the station. I just almost don't want it to go too quick because then it's a sudden break for the guests when they hit the station. We've all been on roller coasters. That's never much fun, is it? It's not too bad. It's a smooth transition into the station. Right, let's see what stats I get on this. Definitely not the best coaster I've ever built, but it's doing the job I wanted it to. Oh my word, it's way too intense. And that's going to be because of those lateral Gs. Probably as we hit some of the earlier corkscrews. I'm just going to look at the stats. So lateral Gs, what I can do is trace. So I know my biggest is 288 and I can track it on here. So it is going to be this bit here. So I'm going to watch as car 1 comes around and I'm going to pause it when we hit that bit. Where is it? Where is car 1? It is indeed where we thought it would be. I don't know how to ride. Oh, maybe it's not exactly where I thought it was. It's actually as we come out, I think, of that downward helix, which is interesting. That can't be right. Let's see, I'm going to keep tracking car 1. Yeah, nothing happening there as it just climbs. Down we go into the station. Back around. So it's pretty bad there. We then get a negative one around that, and it's as we come out of here and then hit the upwards into that corkscrew. So let's close that off. So this is a problem. The problem is we're going too quick here and not quick enough for that half loop. But now I've reconstructed that half loop, I don't need to be as severe around here. So I'm going to go back to sort of more like what my original design was around here, which was to drop that. It wasn't even that high, was it? Let's work backwards, because we know we need to come up from around there. Right, that'll kind of do us. That was pretty close to what we had last time, I think. Too much of a drop. I want that to be one smooth drop, to be honest. So let's get that down to 7. There we go. That's, I think, round about where we were. So I'm going to go on fast forward because I'm kind of done with this coaster now. Make sure it all gets around, which it does. That was my earlier recording. Let's do a quick pause a few moments ago. And now you can see that that's saved. Still got that problem. Oh, I've made it far too extreme. I'm really annoyed with myself. My first time building an intense roller coaster for many, many years, and I've messed it up. So that's really annoying. And you're probably watching this thinking, well, yeah, obviously because you did this or you did that. It is still those lateral G's. So let's get back to car 1. And let's just follow it around again. We don't need to go up the lift. And see, have I got one turn too many? So the negative lateral G's are pretty high as well, but it's the maximum ones which are causing the problem. And it's in the bit of track that it's about to go into. And it's coming off of that helix. I wonder without that helix, what the situation is. That is, though, not where I want to. I don't want to go down straight into the drop, so I'm going to have to mess with the land again, which is kind of annoying. My land is not going to be looking great, is it? By the time I'm done with it, and I can't even get this fiddly. There we go. I knew that would happen. That's okay, we should be outside now. We are, and we just need to get it up to, in fact I've got it up too far, and there we go. It's really not what I wanted. Let's give it a test, see what happens. I don't think this is going to have any impact. You might be watching it knowing that it will have a great impact, or you might be watching it thinking, what is he thinking? He is such a noob. But I'm a relative noob in the sense that I've not played this for years and years. What did that do on the lateral G's? It's still no good. It's the corkscrew itself. Now if I just get rid of this corkscrew, I wonder if I just turn it into a vertical loop, is that even going to work? I'll just get it to, I'm just getting rid of it for now. I'm just going to get rid of it and see what this does to my stats. Oh, my park management has, I've let my park management slip because I've been obsessing over this ride, so let's just have a quick check-in on that. Right, I'm going to need another handyman down here, that's for sure, because there's just too much for one guy to cover. I'll get 2 guys to cover the same area, basically, and then we should be good. Where else have we got problems? I I never put anybody down here on this little square. And you can work the whole square there, mate. There we go. Right, let's see what else the guests are thinking. Running out of cash, the disgusting path we've just dealt with. Okay, we're okay. We're okay, so back to this. What's the damage? Better. Exciting, still a bit too intense. I wonder if I can just limit the speed slightly. I wonder if I'm going to follow this train one again and watch its speed. And see if I ended up making it too quick now. .26 there. Probably leave it as it is. I was toying with coming just not quite as high. See what it does. Let's just take one bit of speed off. One height. Even just for my own education on this. See if that makes any difference. It can test while I build the path, and what I'm going to do is basically use the existing path, extend it slightly, but make most of it a no entry and make it the exit path. We can get plenty of guests on this ride, so let's give it a bit of a longer queue, and that will be effectively the end of the path, because I'm going to bring this round and down. In fact, we can make it a square. And get it to connect. I've lost it a little bit there. Get it to connect, so we've got a little square there in case guests are trying to come from this area without getting lost. Right, benches. What I can't forget is Handyman needs to cover this area. It's a nauseating ride, so he's basically got this bit of area to cover, and he's going to be good. Right, let's see what that did for my stats. Not made a big difference. Let's get it open. Let's get Corkscrew 1 open. It can now be inspected by a mechanic who's probably been trying to find his way to it. Plenty of money in the bank, plenty of time left, only another 30 guests to go. We've just got another ride that's open. That's my new Corkscrew coaster, which I need to change the price on. Let's make it £6. What a disaster. Not my best build, but there we go. It's only the second scenario I've played in such a long time. I've only been researching thrill rides, so I've got a few of those. I'm just going to build them in the areas at the front of the park. Where's the entrance? There. Oh, I wanted it to face the other way, really. That's the way I wanted it to face. And I can drop the entrance in here, the exit off to the side there. Oh, I wanted the exit to... Oh, the exit is facing the way I wanted it to face. So the exit can slip in there. And the entrance... There we go. Cinema can be opened. Minimum wait of 30 seconds, of course, my favourite. 10 minutes on the inspections, and we'll charge £3.50 for the 3D cinema. I've not built a really big queue because I know these things take a little while to cycle through, and if it's popular we'll end up with a queue that's bigger than we want it to be. Let's get a... We've not got a top spin yet, have we? Let's get the launch free fall in though. I'm going to build my own custom design. If I had a bit longer left in the scenario, I'd consider building this around some scenery and some mining scenery, but I have the time, to be fair. I don't have the scenery available to me. Now, the bigger you build these, the more intense they get, so I'm going to go fairly non-intense, although I could do with leaving myself a bit more room for entry and exit paths. So what I'm going to do is entry this side, exit here, a small piece of fence here, to stop it from becoming a block. There we go. And then my entry path can come. I've kind of made this area a bit too cluttered, which is a bit annoying, but the entry can basically come over itself a little bit. There we go. Not beautiful by any stretch. Let's test this at 38 miles an hour. I've got enough track. The problem with these rides is the taller you build it, just the more intense it gets and not that much more exciting. So I'm just going to open that. Let's get it going a little bit quicker. See what we get on that. What have we done to the excitement rating? Not a lot. If I lower it by 1, was that actually higher? We were at 3.67, 3.64. So very little on the excitement rating, but we hurt the intensity. So I'm just going to open that as it is. And to be honest, I'm quite happy with my park right now. I don't think I need to do a lot more. I don't think I need to build a lot more. I think there's a lot I could have done better. If the goals were harder, or we had another year, there's things I'd be doing more in this park. But to be honest, we're in May. Oh, I'm getting senior, so I've obviously researched everything that I chose to, because it's now just randomly researching things for me, so I can reassess that to gentle rides and water rides just to see what we get. But I'm quite happy with where we are. Go on, let's give them a gentle ride. We've got a Ferris wheel as an option, so let's get one in and let's stick it in. I'm putting everything really close together, aren't I? But why not? So let's pop the Ferris wheel in here. I'm not going to have room for entrance and exit, am I? Okay, let's not go that tight on things then. I'm going to build a little area. I'm going to build a new little area up here with a Ferris wheel, and I'm going to put some shops and stands in there, just to use a little bit more of the space that we've got available to us. Lower that dune there, and that dune there is going to need lowering. And then if that comes there, what I'm going to do is lower the top of this dune, so we get a flat bit. Then that path doesn't need to be elevated, and we can bring it up from here, and we could potentially bring it down here as well to make a little square. I hope I'm not going to confuse my guests too much. I'm kind of doing this now just because I've got the time to do so in the scenario. It's maybe not the best idea. I've not got the scenery to decorate up here either, but let's get a chip shop in. Leave some space for them to watch the Ferris wheel. Oh, I've got some Egyptian themes now, so I could get a few little ruins in up here. Chip shop's open. Let's get another toilet in for the guests up here. We've got the info kiosk, we've got the balloon stall. Another toilet in. And I can always build some more little bits around this plateau on top of the dunes. Ferris wheel open, £1.50. 10 minutes on the inspection. I'm going to need a handyman to patrol this new little square that I've built. And I'm already at 677 guests. That's going to keep growing. So I'm going to hit the fast forward button. I'm kind of done with this scenario now. I think it's time to sink my teeth into something else. So park rating 967. We can always open a dodge and ride, can't we? Why not give the guests a dodge and ride? And let's pop that down here somewhere. How much room do we need for the dodgems? The dodgems, I need Oh, I've got the haunted house. The dodgems, I need an area that is, what's that, 4x4. So let's clear a 4x4 area. Flatness down here. Let's do the minimum amount required in terms of the spend on that. Get the dodgems in. There they go. Right, entrances and exits. I don't want to go straight onto the existing path, so let's clear a little area for that. The exit can come straight onto the path, that doesn't matter, it's not a big deal. Now, I just remembered, like the go-karts, to actually get the test results for this, we need 12 people to get on the ride first. So let's hope they do that quickly and we can get the test results in. I'm going to charge £2, 10 minutes on the inspection, give them a minute of dodgem riding. And I don't want this one guest who just got on, these two guests to be sat waiting for too long, or they'll start getting fed up. So hopefully we get the 12 guests on the ride pretty soon. We're over 700 guests now, so I'm not worried about losing on the 650. The park rating is way high. People are pretty happy, they're running out of cash, they've spent their money, but there's not a lot I can do about that. The launch freefall is good value, and that is because I can go to £3.50, which I will. So there's not too many complaints from people. They're all busy on rides or walking around. I'm pretty happy with the park. I'm just going to keep an eye on things now, keep an eye on that park rating, keep an eye on the guest number, keep an eye on my paths and make sure they're not too dirty, maybe build an extra ride or two. Can I be bothered to build a dinghy slide? It's probably more hassle than it's worth, and by the time it's open it'll almost be October anyway, especially with the way I've built rides in this scenario. So I'm just going to manage my park to the end now. I could slow it down and get a bit more involved and put some decoration around this area maybe, but as I said, I don't really need to. I'm kind of happy with where I am in the scenario. Plenty of money coming in. Not a lot more for me to do, and to be fair, this is a sort of scenario, a slightly more challenging objective would have been to get to this guest number in 2 years, but it is only the second scenario in the game. It's one of the introduction scenarios, and it's the first one that we do that's more than a year, and that's for a significant number of guests. So you can see that guest rate is still climbing. I've done no marketing in this scenario so far. If I did, I'd be even higher on the guest count. My park rating is pretty close to the maximum now, and the guests tip over the 800 mark there as we hit September. I'm actually still spending money on research, which I don't need to do because I'm not going to build any more rides. It's definitely not a scenario I'm going to be continuing beyond year 3. I've noticed that no one's on merry-go-round anymore. It's one of those rides, it's just got a bit old. Now you can delete it and rebuild it as a new ride. Just put a new merry-go-round in there, just to trick the guests a little bit into thinking it's a nice new shiny ride. I'm going to replace it with the circus because why not? Exactly the same size, exactly the same space. The merry-go-round has now been replaced with the circus, a nice fresh ride. You can see the spiral slide has got a kind of similar issue. Not too many people going on it anymore compared to the queue that we used to have. And another way to keep an eye on these kind of things, let's just remember to open the circus, is to look at the profit. Is it making money? Well, actually, Twist and Circus, well, Circus I've only just opened, but Twist isn't, and Twist is another ride. I had it open from the start, it was popular, now it's not. So I can delete it, and if I put it back in exactly the same place, I could have put Space Rings or something else in there, but if I put the exact ride in the exact place that it was, as a brand new ride, it kind of tricks guests into thinking it's something new and shiny, and they'll all want to come on it again. So let's get that open. And say a good way of checking that is just seeing what the profit is. See if people actually want to ride it. The same with your food and drink. Are people interested in it? Do people want it? Is it performing well? But you can see already the Twist now attracting profit, attracting guests because they think it's something nice and new and shiny. And I'm going to get some more guests arrive at the park now as well. The pirate ship might fall into that mode at some point. Nobody's really bothering with the pirate ship, but there are people getting on it. Now, the 3D cinema hasn't proved too popular. they just want something more thrilling, and that's fair enough. There are some nice roller coasters for the guests to enjoy. I'm going to drop another mechanic just so we can improve those response times to any breakdowns. Safest park in the country. Well, I've not been awarded too much in this scenario, but they'll come as we carry on building. And finally, I've got the mining scenery. Again, a bit too late now to start really jazzing up the rides, but I could put some mining scenery around this area here where I've got the corkscrew coaster coming out to. Again, if I was playing the scenario longer, I could make a little mining village over here with a couple more smaller rides. But as it happens, I'm waiting for these last few days to the end of October to be told I've completed the scenario, and of course I'm going to want to see those balloons hit the air as well to congratulate me on my success in this park. Pretty happy with the park value and the company value, and there we are, completed with a company value of 271,000. Did that no problems at all, really. Almost a full park, 999 park rating, over 900 guests in the park, so kind of 50% more than I needed. 50,000 in the bank if I wanted to build more rides. As it happens, I don't. So yeah, as you see those balloons float up into the distance, I'm pretty content with that. Pretty happy with the performance in that park. Dynamite Dunes is complete.